you join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's Into Your Head, number 793. Now, you may have noticed there's been a long gap between episode 792, which came out in 2016, gap of approximately 7 years between this episode and the last one. So it's the first time in this podcast's 17-year history that it's taken a break that long. It's never taken a 7-year break before. I suppose you could argue that it wasn't possible for it to take a 7-year break because it hadn't been on, hadn't had a long enough history for it. That's like saying if you have 12 months in a year and you take 14 months off for your summer holidays, that's impossible. But no, this podcast started in 2006. So when I went offline in 2016, it had been going for 10 whole years. 10 whole years. So don't lump me in with podcasters who could come on and do it for a year or two and then disappear for 3 years and then come back later. No, I've done my bit. I put in my 10 years, made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. Now, admittedly, the first 400 or so were crap. Those are pointless, basically. That's all you need to know about that. And the rest is history. Anyway, I'm back now, so everything's going to be okay. I'm like the prodigal son in that thing from the Bible. There's a thing in the Bible where there's a parable about some father who's one of his kids goes off somewhere. I don't know what. Can't remember the exact details. I think maybe he runs off to college or something, or becomes a drug dealer. And his other two sons are going, "Oh, father, aren't we great? Look, we haven't run away. We're fantastic." But the father is just obsessing over the prodigal son who eventually comes back. And when he comes back, he says something along the lines of, "Oh, God celebrates much more when someone who has been away comes back than when his two fucking freak, normal, above average children don't come back because they've never run away, because they've never done anything wrong in their life that they've had to come back from." I don't know if I told that parable properly, have I? I don't know. Been a while since I told parables, to be perfectly honest. I don't think I've ever told a parable at all. In fact, I'm much more at home with the traditional two cats walk into a bar story. So maybe we'll do that to get going, to get warmed up. Two cats walk into a bar. One of the cats goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest Smithwick's, please?" And the man behind the bar says, "You fucking well cannot. Smithwick's is, no adult or child should be drinking Smithwick's. It's like red lemonade, except it tastes so disgusting you have to add red lemonade to it just to make it tolerable." Can you imagine if you had to do that with actual red lemonade? You'd pour a glass of red lemonade and you say, "Oh, this is fucking disgusting. It's undrinkable. Let's add some red lemonade to it to make it tolerable." I suppose that's possible. If you're in one of those, if you're out in the street and some kid, as they're always doing in American cartoons and sitcoms and comics, some kid is out in the street setting up a stall selling fresh lemonade, and you buy it just to humour them, and you discover that it tastes like shit. Or whatever the liquid of equivalent to shit is. Is it piss? I suppose it is. So let's say the kid who's selling lemonade at a stall in the street sells you this cup of piss, and you say to yourself, because you don't want to hurt his feelings, you say, "Oh, this is undrinkable. It's intolerable, undrinkable. Let's see if I have a bottle of actual factory mass-produced red lemonade in my fridge that I could top this up with, and it'll dissolve the poor taste." So that's exactly what you do, and you make it barely tolerable. Well, that's how Smithwick's works as well, except of course Smithwick's isn't a lemonade. That's why you have to add lemonade to it. Lemonade. Nobody drinks red lemonade on its own. I don't know if you foreigners even have it. But you don't. People don't go around in the streets here going, "Oh, does anyone know where I can get a nice fresh cup of lemonade?" Especially not the red one. No. Lemonade is something you add to things. You add it to the boil in your stomach. to make it taste less disgusting when it starts coming back up later in the night. That's what you do. People should do that. The people, they get all worked up over having a bad taste in their mouth, and they're having, what do you call it? Is it nausea when you start feeling like you're going to be sick a couple of hours after a meal or a period of drunkenness? No, what you should do is start pouring stuff down into the bottom of your stomach that'll cancel out the taste of all the acidity and everything. If you're a chemist, you should know how to do that. If you've got an acidic taste in your stomach, get some, wherever the anti-acidic version is. It's probably an anti-acid thing you can get in the shop that's sold as a medicine. But in actual fact, bollocks. That's what this was a two cats walk into a bar story. I forgot. So the cat says, "Can I have a pint of your finest Smiddix, please?" And the man behind the bar says, "You most certainly cannot. You most certainly cannot. I do not give away my finest batch of Smiddix to some cat who's just walked in off the street. I keep that for the patrons." And the cat says, "Do any of your patrons drink Smiddix?" And the man behind the bar says, "Well, they might if I stopped selling it all off to cats at the earliest opportunity. No, I keep it in case they ever do. I live in constant hope that one of my regulars will one day decide I'm going to try something else for a change. One of my regulars who drunks the same beer every night for 84 years might come in one day and go, oh, I think I'd like to try something else. Something a bit different. Something that's not a beer or an ale or whatever the fuck Smiddix is not. What is Smiddix? I don't know. I think it's an ale. Smiddix is basically a beer. It's a perfectly fine beer, but everyone critiques it like it's some sort of weird thing. No, it just happens to be different. The whole fucking point of getting a different beer is to try something that's different. But people knock it because it's too different, because it can't be compared to anything. Can you imagine if they did that with Guinness? They'd say, oh, that thing was black with a white head on it. It might as well be liquidized coal that you could put through a blender and then put some cream on top, except you can't stir the cream in because then people will go, that hasn't got a head. You're not allowed to say, oh, it does have a head, it's being stirred in, just like you would with a cup of coffee. You don't leave the cream floating on top, you stir it in. And you do the same with can you imagine if someone gave you a fucking cup of coffee that had sugar floating on the top? You'd smash their face in, and then you'd end up being arrested, or of course if you're in a more civilised society, you'd end up forgetting about it for a couple of weeks, and then you get a letter in the post, either from a solicitor or from a court, saying you've been summoned to go to the court. Because if you're a respectable member of society, they don't bring you down to the police station. They let the solicitors deal with that. You get a letter in the post saying, please, if you don't mind, come down to the court on such a date. We need to discuss the issue whereby you smashed someone's face in because they didn't stir your sugar in. And then you'll turn up at the court and you'll say, hello, this has all been a misunderstanding. I only smashed their face in because they deserved it. I know. I only smashed their face in because they deserved it. It wasn't you. I know you're assuming. I assume the reason I've been summoned is because it's believed that he didn't deserve it. But no, he did. Do you want me to provide evidence to that effect? And the judge will say, yes, please, if you wouldn't mind. And then the other side, the prosecutor, solicitor will say, judge, if you don't mind, I think that's for me to say. And the judge says, no, I'm in charge here. I can allow you to say that, but just because I'm the judge doesn't mean I have to keep my gob shut and not say yes, please, in response to the defendant. No. Then the defending counsel, whoever the hell they were, will say, okay, fair enough, but can I ask the fella questions now? And the judge will say, go ahead, be my guest, make my day and be my guest. It was pretty much the same thing. Be my guest and make my day are pretty much the same thing. I hope you do realise that. It's not some big... People think, go ahead, make my day is a different thing from be my guest. But no, if you want someone to be their guest, then they're going to be your guest. Well, then that would be your day made, because you want them to be your guest, unless you're lying about that. Anyway, so then the counsel will ask you, so why did you punch my client's face in? And I'll say, it's all been a misunderstanding. You see, he put some sugar on top of my coffee and then didn't stir it in. He just left it there like it was a decoration. Didn't even have the decency to turn it into a smiley face or something. Just left it sitting there like it was just a dollop of decoration on top of a fucking Christmas cake. And what's that stuff they put on Christmas cake? I think it starts with M. Goes under the actual icing, but is called something else and is yellow and is gross. Whatever it's called. Can you imagine if someone put that on top of your cup of coffee and the judge will say, oh yes, I can imagine that. That would be problematic, all right, because you'd have to break through it. You'd have to break through it with a spoon or something. And then when you break through it with a spoon, wouldn't it fall down into the liquid? And you'd have to dig it out with a spoon. And a lot of these places, if you're getting a takeaway coffee, you don't have a spoon. You get a little wooden stirrer if you're lucky. You used to get plastic stirrers, but they were afraid they were stabbing the fish when you dispose of them into the sea or something, so they got rid of them. They have wooden stirrers now. Last time I was doing this podcast, the planet was still fine. We had plastic stirrers and plastic spoons. Oh, you could do whatever you want. You could even get to a shop and say, hello, can I have a takeaway coffee in a disposable gold cup? Make sure it's non-biodegradable. I want non-biodegradable gold because it keeps its value better. But no, nowadays they go, would you like a piece of tissue? Now, can you bring your own piece of tissue? Because we're trying to save the planet here. That's a perfectly reasonable request. I want the planet saved too, so I don't go to these places anymore unless I happen to be leaving the house that day. And the judge will say, defendant, if you don't mind, would you mind getting on with the questioning? And the defendant will say, oh, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all. I'm perfectly happy to get on with the questioning. It's pretty much my job here as I see it, Your Honour. And His Honour will say, oh, that's great. Go ahead with that. Where were we? The defendant will say, the defendant is you, the cat. The defendant is the person who's being talked about in the story by the bartender talking to the cat or something. Who cares? Anyway, the defendant will say, oh yes, that's the thing. You see, he put sugar in on top of my coffee, didn't stir it in, just left it sitting there. The counsellor for the trying to get you in trouble will say, that's not really a reason to punch someone's face in. And then the jury will be told, disregard that comment, jury. Pretend you didn't hear that last bit. Just listen to the rest of it. Go into the hard disk that is your memory and wipe those particular few bits of memory, like when you used to go back when you got Windows in the early days. You used to go back and reconfigure your data on your disk, and would rearrange it nice and neatly so it was easy for it to find. You make it more efficient. Except you could delete stuff as well, and you couldn't in that. That's a terrible example because you couldn't delete stuff while you're reconfiguring it. That wasn't how that worked at all. Anyway, apart from that, though, it was good to you anyway. I used to always go dog on my old setup because it sounded great coming out of my headphones. But then I realised when I mixed it up or mixed it down or whatever you do to it and you put it in a podcast, it doesn't sound as good in your ears. It doesn't provide the excellent sound quality package that I hope to deliver to you, the end user. So I'll stop doing the dog thing after this. I'll just have to get it out of my system now, if you don't mind, though. So here we go. Once upon a time, there was a dog. Christ, that hurts my jaw. I'm afraid if I keep doing that too long, something will fold over itself in my jaw. I'll end up somehow like your man out of that American film review television program. Siskel and Ebert and Roeper and the guy who came on after Roeper. Anyway, the one who got the throat cancer and had his jaw removed and went around the last few years with his jaw removed and expecting everyone to not act disgusted at the sight of him. So that's, well, it's a bit like, I'd end up a bit like like him if I keep going dog. That's what it feels like anyway. It feels like if I keep going dog like this, my throat will somehow somersault over itself, and that'll have the same effect as a partially successful treatment for end-stage throat cancer or whatever that poor man had. That poor man who's made a life out of talking and had to give that up and going right instead and then died. And I'm here cruelly mocking him on a podcast. Maybe I should make it. Remember I used to do that to Professor Stephen Hawkins, who I always, I hope it was clear, I always... actually respected Professor Stephen Hawkins. Well, I respected that fella as well. Was it Ebert or Siskel? I think it was Ebert or Roeper. Wait a minute, let me figure this out. I have to calculate it. Has anyone got a paper and pen? And then take away the pen and give me a marker, because I can't see fucking pen ink anymore. Let's see, I'll figure this out. I'll figure it out in my brain. There was Siskel and Ebert, and then Siskel either died or retired, and then there was Ebert and Roeper, and then there was Roeper and someone else. So I think it was Ebert. It must have been Ebert. Was he the one when he died or retired? Oh no, didn't he retire because he couldn't talk anymore because of the no jaw? And then they got, so they had... Ebert and they had Siskel and Ebert and Roeper. So Ebert must have been the guy who had the no throat thing and the no jaw thing, whatever you call it. So it was Ebert and Roeper. So then did Roeper carry on with someone else? The cunt, the absolute cunt. What kind of a cunt does that? It was fine for Ebert to get Roeper in, but when Ebert left. And then Roeper got someone else as if it was his thing in the first place, and he was just getting someone in to help. That's a bit fucking much. Do you not think? I think so. I think that's a bit much. Fuck that shit. That's no way to be treating someone who took you on because his original colleague died. No, fuck that. That's why podcasts shouldn't have co-hosts. They carry on like that. Although there is a protection system in this industry, whereby if the guy who starts the podcast with his friend gets sick of the friend and decides to stop doing it, the friend can't get another friend in and do it because the equipment and the technical expertise is in the original friend's house. So he can't carry on unless he gets another nerdy friend who knows how to make a podcast and has a Mac or something. Did I tell you I got a Mac? I probably didn't, because I haven't told you anything in 7 whole years. I got a Mac the other day. I'm recording this on GarageBand in the Macintosh, Apple Macintosh computer system. It's absolutely fucking fantastic if I can just figure out how to fucking use it. It seems to be recording anyway. That's the start. What next? What will we do next? Oh yes, the dog. Once upon a time there was a dog. Basically a dog, and the dog was running around one day minding his own business, although that's not entirely true. He wasn't minding his own business at all. He was going around sniffing everything. Dogs don't mind their own business. They run around sniffing everything, but that's the default 0 level for dogs. It's a bit like the way temperature works, where if you have a temperature system where 0 degrees, says 0 degrees Fahrenheit is considered just 0, the base level, but then you have another system where the base level 0 in another temperature system is the equivalent of minus 70 centigrade or whatever it is. Well, that's like with dogs. For normal people and animals, the default normal 0 level is minding your own business, but for a dog running around and minding everybody else's business and sniffing things is their normal, so that's 0 in their system, which will be plus 73 in the normal human being system of nosiness. Anyway, that's what the dog was doing. He's going around sniffing things, not minding his own business, and then he saw what did he see? I don't know. He saw I can't look through his eyes, so I'll just make something up. I don't know what the dog was seeing. Let's say he saw a car. He saw a car at the other side of the road, going in the opposite direction to the dog, and the dog said, "Oh, there's a car. I wonder what that smells like. I'll go along and sniff it." So he turned around, he did an illegal U-turn and went chasing after the car. It was a very high speed, and it was only on a little moped. Remember, they can only go about a moped goes about 50 miles an hour if you're lucky on an open road. Once upon a time, there was a further dog. A further dog. A further dog. Don't worry. I'm not going to do this again after this. I've moved into my other recording setup using a tablet in the back bedroom. Just wanted to see if it sounded any better on that. I'm inclined to think it sounds a bit better. Maybe just set it up. I don't know. Does this sound good? Dog. It's certainly hurting my neck more than usual. I don't know. I am sitting in the more what's the word? Not aerodynamic. The word for when you're sitting in a healthy position in a desk. You're not stooped over or anything. I'm sitting in a much better position than usual. I'm sitting straight up, not even looking at the frigging screen because it's over there. Oh, I better check it. It's freaking recording. So yeah, maybe that's helping. So let's have another go at it. Dog. Now I'll try it as part of a sentence. Once upon a time there was a dog. Or should I say a further dog? It's the same dog. It was the same dog dealt with in the earlier segment, but under different recording conditions. I'm in another room now, on the same floor of the house, but in another room. I've left the sitting room, I've walked across one corner of the kitchen, I've traversed the hallway, and I've gone into a spare bedroom. I've got a tablet set up on on one of those tables that you put over beds. When someone's in bed, this is one of the tables that rolls in over it so they can eat in bed. I'm using it as a podcasting setup. I can't recommend it. It's rather wobbly. And when you touch the microphone, everything, you hear loads of springy sounds. So I don't recommend it. Especially since in order to use it, you'd have to break into my home, and I would have an issue with that. If you're going to go breaking into my home, then I'm going to feel free to start every segment for the rest of eternity with a thing about a dog. I can tell you that could get just as tiresome as having my house broken into. His house has been broken into at least once, as far as I know, in the past. Possibly more times in the future, but I don't know about those yet. Where's my harmonica? I wasn't going to use my harmonica. I just wanted to see if it's there. It's something you should have. It's something I've always wanted to keep. Well, bollocks. Suffice to say, I was just checking. If dog sounded different in here. Maybe if I face the other direction, would that make a difference? I wonder. I'm not going to. That would involve movement. And while I've nothing against movement, I have plenty of energy to do it, having just consumed an energy drink. The movement would cause noises, and it would cause me to have to adjust my setup again. And that would, as far as I'm concerned, that would be a problem. So we won't do that. We won't do that. Have we been broken into yet again? If you're listening to this in the future, perhaps you're listening on the Internet Archive 30 years from now. Maybe you can look up the records for this. For this area. Well, you don't know where I am, but perhaps I'll release my location after everyone in my family is safely dead, including myself, and there's no more. Once there's nothing valuable here that I have to worry about, then perhaps we'll release the location as part of the archive, as part of the permanent archive, and then I don't know. What am I talking about? I must say I'm feeling a bit of pressure here. It's the first freaking podcast in 7 years. I'm sitting here, I've got this microphone hung right in front of my face, so I can't ignore it. You can't ignore it because it's in your ears. And every time bollocks. Suffice to say, bollocks. Well, we do a song. We won't, because I don't seem to have my harmonica in with me. I think I may have misplaced it on the way in. I suppose we could do a song anyway. What song will we do? We suppose we could do one about the dog. Or I could continue that story I was doing about the dog that I hadn't started yet. The dog. That dog. Let's have a go with that. Or I could just wipe this segment and start again because it's shit. Well, we do that. Maybe we will. Or maybe we'll salvage it by editing it somewhat. Starting to get the hang of editing things in GarageBand. Once I got it straight in my head that I'm allowed to call it GarageBand and not GarageBand because I'm not an American, then it suddenly all came together. Became a lot less intimidating. I just said, it's a totally Irish garage band thing. It's not a garage band, it's a garage band. It's a thing in your garage that you plug in and you make a band, or in this case a podcast, because podcasters get lumped in under musical equipment. When you go out to get equipment to do a frigging podcast, you have to go into a music shop and they say, hello, would you like to try one of these guitars in a very public setting and show off how well you can play? Try to look like you're on that frigging Tom Hanks in the movie Big. Oh, it's still recording. That's great. I just wanted to check because GarageBand seems to think everything has to be the length of a song. You're supposed to put in, I want 64 bars and then stop. Well, I think I figured out how not to do that. I want this to be longer than a song. I know you young people with your YouTube videos like everything to be 3.5 minutes. But no, that's not what a podcast. A podcast should last at least 17 years. Oh, bollocks. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. Oh, that's interesting now. There's a lot of noises I worry about when I'm recording, but never the S hissing sound. But when I went bollocks, 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 I know it's for the first time ever an S sound coming from my mouth, a hissing sound of the type I would have expected to have be doing a lot more of, considering I've very few teeth left. I thought that would cause problems or issues. Apparently it will now. I'm not allowed to do an acapello rendition of an on-the-fly song that just goes bollocks, 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 without worrying about the S sounds. I wonder how there are musicians everywhere who are afraid to say the word bollocks because it comes out like that. Again, I have 10 times more than I've ever noticed it. That's fascinating. Oh, it's doing with the fascinating now. Oh, now I'm aware of every freaking S sound. That's fucking ridiculous. This is what happens if you spend a fucking month reading how to make podcasts again. Anyway, where were we? The dog. Oh yes, once upon a time there was a dog, a further dog. Not a third dog, but the dog that the dog was going around all over the place. It was basically doing doing what dogs do. Walking around the place, running around, sniffing everything, shitting on everything, pissing on everything, trying to be friends with cats who hate them, because dogs are scum. Cats hate dogs because dogs are scum. And is that going to alienate people? I wonder. If you're a dog, do you feel alienated by this? Well, you probably don't, because any dogs will go fucking running up to cats where no matter how much the cat hates them, they'll go run up and go, hello, you're a cat, be my friend. I don't know, it's impossible to intimidate a dog. It's possible to piss them off. It's not possible to intimidate. I tried to intimidate a dog once. I can't remember what I said to it. It'd be interesting. It'd be useful if I could think of what I said to it, because that might be somewhat amusing. But no. Oh, I can tap my feet. I can do percussion here. I just realised. In place of a harmonica. We do that. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. 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 Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. They're right. You can make great songs in GarageBand. That's 2 songs now this episode I have made in GarageBand. Just by singing them into this app here. Didn't even add anything to them. That's fascinating. Absolutely fucking fantastic and fascinating. Anyway, the dog was going around, basically sniffing and walking around everywhere. And then it went up to the top of a street and I happened to see a sign. The sign said bar lounge. So the dog said, oh, I've never been in a 2 cats walk into a bar story. I wonder will I go in there and see if there's one going on. So the dog goes into the bar and the man behind the bar said, fucking hell, is that a dog? Get that filthy thing out of my bar. Get it out immediately. It's probably shitted 3 times on its way over to the bar. Get it out of here. Get it out immediately. How, you fucking cunt. Or will have you hunted down and killed by the dog warden. Well, not necessarily killed. Placed into foster care or placed in some place where you're basically on death row unless someone adopts you. And I tell you, they're not going to adopt the dog who goes into bars. People don't even want their children going into bars. They're not going to voluntarily have a dog who does it. At least when their children go into bars, at least they have to... they're pretty much required by law not to abandon them. Or they can't just send their children off to be put on death row like they do with dogs. But you can do that with dogs. People do that with dogs all the time. They say, hello, dog. I don't like you anymore. Go away. And then the dog goes away. And that's what happens. They turn up in bars like this. Anyway, meanwhile, at the far end of the bar, 2 cats have just come in through the front door and they're saying, oh, look, there seems to be a dog there. Did they come in the back door? Is that the problem, I wonder? The barman seems to be very annoyed at it. And the other cat says, indeed. Will I go down, sit down now, because it's traditional for just one of us to go up to the bar. And the other cat says, fair enough, you go sit down and I'll get us a drink. And then the man behind the bar comes up to the other end and says, hello, you're not a dog, are you? And the cat says, no, I'm not a dog, are you? And the man behind the bar says, no, I'm not a dog either, are you? And the cat says, I've already said I'm not. And the man behind the bar says, no, I meant the other cat. And the other cat shouts over from the far end of the lounge, no, I'm not a dog either, are you? And the man behind the bar says, no, I'm not a dog either, are you? And the dog at the other end of the bar goes, yes, I'm a dog. What of it? Is it illegal to be a dog now? I've even got a license. I have a dog license. And the man behind the bar says, well, that doesn't mean anything. Your owner is supposed to have a dog license. You having a dog license just means you're entitled to own a dog. It doesn't mean you're licensed. If you have a dog, your dog is licensed. You, the dog, may still be illegal and unlicensed. In which case, your owner has some explaining to do. I can tell you, you can't be going around in most of the countries in which this program is broadcast. You don't need a license to own a dog, but in the country from which this program is broadcast, you do need a license to own a dog. If you own a dog, you're supposed to have a fucking license, and you're supposed to. The dog warden comes round. I remember the dog warden used to come round, and the place where we used to live, and he'd come in and say, "Hello, do you still have a dog?" And I'd say, "No, we just have the 11 cats now." He'd say, "That's grand, thank you. Do you happen to know which of the other houses around here own dogs?" Well, what's full? I'd say, "Oh, I think the place 3 doors down has a dog. And I think that place with the dog across the road has a dog." And then the cats would all be watching out the window, and they'd say, "What the fucking hell is that fella doing here?" And I'd say, "Don't worry, it's the dog warden. He doesn't care about cats, doesn't give a flying fuck about cats, as long as he gets his annual, wherever the €65 or whatever it is the revenue is from a dog license from each owner. That's grand. So don't worry about cats at all. Cats are outside of the law. You can run over a cat and there can be no legal consequences. It's not the same with a dog." And the cats would say, "Is that supposed to reassure us?" And I'd say, "No, sorry about that. I hadn't thought that through." Oh, we're still recording. That's great. No, the cats will go to me. Why are you telling us that? That's supposed to be reassuring. And I'd say, well, it's half reassuring somewhat and unreassuring otherwhat. In some ways, it should be comforting to know that I can't be fined for not having a license for you, but discomforting to know that if someone runs you over, they don't even have to stop. It's not a hit and run if you hit a cat and run on in the car, apparently. Well, that's what they say anyway. Maybe that's an urban myth by online armchair lawyers. And the cats would say, "What's an armchair lawyer?" And I'd say, "You know the way you lie in an armchair?" And the cats say, "I'm telling the whole fucking truth here and nothing but the truth. I never lie. Do you think I'm lying when I say you're a cunt?" And I say, "Yes, no, I don't think you're lying. I just think you're being very unkind, considering you're one of my pets." And the cat says, "I'm a cat." And I say, I'm not a cat." And they'd say, "Oh, wait, where were we? We're on the cat. Oh, yes, the cat's in the bar at the other end, the opposite end of the bar at the other end, away from the cats." That's where I forgot about that. Sorry, I got completely distracted from the 2 cats in the bar story. Started talking about cats at home in my old house when the dog inspector came round. Completely gone off track, a completely different subject altogether. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I've had the diligence to sit here doing a podcast and concentrate. No, usually I don't have to concentrate on anything at all. Usually I have an audio book playing in one ear and a podcast playing in the other, and a TV on the background and the joint computer screen right in front of my face, and not concentrating on anything. You don't have to focus on anything. Especially me, I don't have to focus. I'm unemployable, so there's nothing that I have to focus on. If I don't spend half my day not focused on anything, there isn't going to be some guy in a suit coming around saying, "You're not focused on anything. I'm going to get the time and motion expert in here to have a look at you, because you're just not. You're not being productive." Well, I am being productive. I'm being productive in different ways. It's just I'm multitasking. Everything takes longer when I multitask, but that doesn't mean I'm not getting shit done. I even cook while I'm doing all that stuff. While I'm listening to one thing in one ear, another thing in the other. Now editing this fucking shit in the third ear, presumably, and attending to some cats. So no, don't be fooled when you see someone who's not focused on one thing. It doesn't mean they're not getting anything done. They're getting everything done, just not necessarily in a fast manner, because they don't have a deadline. I don't have a when I'm dead, that'll be a deadline, I suppose. But I haven't been given I do. Oh yes, the cats at the bar. And the man behind the bar, "Oh yes, we did that whole thing where they're all going." The man behind the bar goes, "Are you a dog?" And the cat goes, "Are you a dog?" Was it? Or something like that. And the second cat goes, no, I'm not a dog. Are you a dog? And the man behind the bar goes, no, I'm not a dog. And the other cat goes, I'm not a dog either. Is this going to be going round in a triangle for the rest of the night? And the man behind the bar says, I think we need to focus, gentlemen. And the cats say, we don't have to focus. We're not at work. You're the only one who's at work here, barman. We're not at work. We're just sitting here having one of us is sitting over there and one of us is up at the bar, supposedly ordering a drink or whatever we do here. You're the only one at work, barman. And the barman says, well, I don't seem to be getting much done. I'm being distracted by your although I suppose all that whole rigmarole I've been doing for the last few minutes, that counts as work. I've been asking both of you whether you're dogs, and I've been answering your question about whether I'm dogs. Was that one? I can't even remember what all that was about now. It's like it happened ages and ages ago, far, far away in a galaxy at the other end of the universe. Back when galaxies were thought to be the universe. Well, we used to think the galaxy was the whole universe, and then we said, oh wait, there's other galaxies. Well, that would explain why we call this a galaxy. There's more of them. It's a thing. We call this a universe. And someone said, maybe there's other universes somewhere else. Whatever the fuck a universe is now. We've redefined it. We said, the way there used to be, edit this a bit out, unless it goes somewhere. Dog. Dog. Anyway, the man behind the bar goes, so what do you want? Meaning in terms of a drink. And the cat says, I'm not thirsty. I just have a bag of peanuts, please. And the same for my friend over there. And the man behind the bar goes, certainly. Would you like the extra salted or the extra heavily salted or the extra heavily salted contained within the bag of salt? And the cat goes, oh no, that'll only make me thirsty. And the man behind the bar says, yes, that's the idea. And the cat goes, well, in that case, why don't you just give me some dry cat food? That has the same effect. In fact, it even says in the instructions, if you're giving your cat this dry cat food, make damn sure to Christ as hell in a handbasket that there's a ready supply of water available for the cat, because it needs to be able to drink water when it's having dry cat food. That's what it says on the instructions. I assume it still says that. I don't read them anymore. I don't read the freaking cat food instructions every time I buy them. I just assume they haven't changed very much over the last 20 years or so that I've been buying cat food. And the man behind the bar says, well, I suppose that's reasonable. Do you ever worry that you might be missing out on new developments in cat food, though, from not taking any notice of the instructions? And the cat says, no, I do not. There haven't been many developments in cat food. There's been development in cat treats, and that's because humans fall for that whole shit. They say, here's a cat treat. Here's some shit in a tin. There's some fish stuff in a tin, but they call it a cat cake or something, and they go and buy that. And then they put some other stuff in a plastic thing in a pouch, and they call it cat soup. And the owner falls for that, and then we fall for that as well. Well, it's not falling for it. We're consuming the stuff because it's nice. We happen to like it. Excuse us for liking food. And the man behind the bar says, that's fine, you're excused. Nothing wrong with liking food. Here's your peanuts. And the cat says, I haven't answered your question about which type I wanted. You're asking me whether I wanted the ones with the heavy salt or the ones with the more heavy salt or the ones that are inside a bag of salt. And the man behind the bar says, that was kind of a rhetorical question. They're all the same. We just have salted peanuts and that's it. The purpose of them being to make you thirsty so you'll buy some fucking drink. And the cat says, that's fine. Can I have a bowl of tap water, please? And the man behind the bar says, you fucking cheapskate. You fucking piece of shit, cheapskate, piece of shit. You even have a license. And the cat says, no, I don't drive. And the man behind the bar says, Oh, well, that's good. Well, then you can have a drink, so if you're not driving. And the cat says, well, I have to go home on a bicycle, and you have to bring this fella with me. He nods over to the other cat at the other end of the lounge. And the man behind the bar says, we can call you a taxi, you know. And the cat says, oh, can you? And the man behind the bar goes, certainly, you're a taxi. And the cat says, that's fucking stupid. That's fucking ridiculous. That's scraping the bottom of the barrel bullshit there from you. You may as well, I don't know. You may as well just shut this down now if this is what you're going to be doing. And the man behind the bar says, I can't shut this down now. My patrons expect me to stay open till the very latest time I'm allowed to under the law, and then for another hour and a half after that, and kind of gently flashing the lights under the pretense that I want them to leave to comply with the law. And the cat says, has it ever occurred to you that I might be an undercover cop or a plainclothes cop? And the man behind the bar says, well, certainly not the latter, because you're not wearing plain clothes. You're not even wearing any clothes. And the cat says, oh, that's true. I don't need clothes. I'm an animal. I have fur. And the man behind the bar says, I have fur too, but I still put a shirt all over us, because you have a bit of manners and a bit of class. And the cat says, yep, but that's because, as we've already established, you're at work. I'm not at work. This is my leisure time. I go around in my fur, wear whatever the fuck I like. Well, as long as it's decent. Is this decent? And the man behind the bar says, you're completely naked. And the cat says, yes, but I'm wearing my fur. And the man behind the bar goes, that's like me saying I'm wearing my chest hair and some skin on my arse and some hair on top of my head and my glasses. That's like saying that. And the cat says, except in your case that would be a lie because you're fully clothed. And the man behind the bar goes, I suppose that's true. And a great night is had by all. Good morning.